Na 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 na. Oh, I'm live. What it is, beautiful peoples. I think I'm live. All right, so let me see. Um, we need to hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back. I had to help my mother. She apparently lost her charger, so I have to charge her phone for her. Something like that. All right. All right, here we go. So we're going to be going over the story, the wonder, and the light of his soul. So it begins the road of empty miles. For many years, Eli walked the world with a bag that felt too big for his chest. He left his small town one sunrise, humming a tune his mother sang. Himself, he would see every sunrise, every mountain, every river. The roads were long, the towns were many, but each night he fell asleep under a different sky and woke to the same feeling, a quiet emptiness, like a cup that never filled. He walked through bustling markets where people laughed and shouted, and he watched their faces, hoping to see one that would make his own smile. So he crossed deserts where the sun burned his skin, and the endless dunes made his thoughts drift like sand through his fingers. He climbed mountains where the air was thin. The wind whispered, "Are you looking for something?" Eli kept moving because standing still felt worse than the ache of walking. So, a night in the forest, one evening, after weeks of rain, Eli found shelter. Clearing in an old pine forest, the trees stood tall and silent, their branches forming a soft roof against the drizzle. He set his bag down, lit a small fire, and let the crackle of flames be his company for the night. In the middle of the night, a soft rustle broke the hush. A small fox, its fur wet and shivering, emerged from the mist. Its eyes were bright amber, like two drops of honey caught in the firelight. Eli felt a strange pull, a gentle tug at his heart. He reached out a hand, and the fox, after a moment of hesitation, stepped onto his palm. The little creature curled up, its body warm against his chest. Eli whispered, "You're lost too." The fox looked up as if it was understanding every word and gave a soft, contented sigh. In that instant, Eli felt a flicker of hope he had not felt in years. So the journey together starts, right? Morning came, and the fox, who Eli named Sora, decided to stay. She walked beside him, her paws silent on the earth, guiding him towards paths less traveled. With Sora, the world seemed softer, flowers open where she stepped. Birds sang louder, and the wind seemed to carry a sweet, familiar tune. Days turned into weeks, and Eli began to notice how Sora moved. She would pause at a river and wait for him to drink, as if reminding him to pause himself. When the night grew cold, she would nudge his hand towards a hidden cave, urging him to rest. Her presence taught Eli the rhythm of listening, something he had forgotten in his endless wandering. One afternoon, they arrived at a small village perched on a hill. The houses were painted bright colors, and children chased each other down cobblestone streets. The scent of fresh bread drifted through the air, mixing with the smell of pine and earth. In the village square, a woman was arranging baskets of wild berries. Her hair fell like sunrise, golden and warm, and her eyes shone like the river after rain. She looked up, and when her gaze met Eli's, time seemed to hold its breath. The meeting of two hearts. The woman's name was Lara. She smiled, and it was as if the sun had risen inside Eli's chest. She walked towards him, her steps light, and said, "I have waited for you." Lara told him she had grown up hearing stories of a wanderer who would come with a small fox, a soul who understood the language of the earth. She had spent her life caring for the forest, healing injured animals, and learning the old songs that kept the world balanced. Sora, sensing the truth, brushed her tail against Laura's ankle. Laura knelt, her hands gentle, and whispered to the fox, "You have brought him home." Hello, how you doing? Much love to you beautiful peoples. So, back to the story. Eli felt something inside him click, like a lock finding its key. He realized that all his years of wandering were not aimless. They were a path that led him here to this moment, to this place where his soul could finally rest. Right? Life in the valley. Eli stayed in the village, building a small house near the river that ran through the valley. He and Lara worked together, planting trees, tending to animals, and sharing stories with travelers who passed by. Sora, now older, would sit at the doorway watching the sunrise and sunset content. Lara complimented Eli in ways he never imagined. She taught him patience, showing him how to sit quietly and watch a hummingbird hover. She showed him how to listen to the wind and understand its stories. In return, Eli taught her the songs of distant lands, the names of stars he had followed, and the art of navigating by the moon. Hmm. The endless circle. Years passed and the valley flourished. The trees Eli and Laura planted grew tall, their leaves rustling like whispers of gratitude. The river, which had once been a lonely companion for Eli, now sang a lullaby for all who lived there. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun painted the sky orange, Sora laid down beside the fire, her eyes slow. Eli held her close, feeling the warmth of her fur fade into the earth. He knew that she had fulfilled her purpose. She had guided him home. Laura took Eli's hand, her fingers warm, and said, "You are my home, Eli. You have completed me in ways I never thought possible." Eli smiled, tears glistening like dew. He understood now that being lost was not a curse, but a journey that led him to his soulmate, to love, to purpose, and to a life full of simple, beautiful moments. And so, under the ancient trees, with the river singing beside them, Eli and Laura lived two hearts, two souls, one love forever, walking together, hand in hand, never again. The end. And I hope everybody enjoyed my story. Much love to you beautiful peoples out there. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Let's see. Oh, if you like my stories and poems, I got a whole playlist, a bunch of them, a lot of them. So check out my playlist if you're watching this now or in the future, right? Or in the past, anything's possible. But yep, my signing out, over and out. Yeah, much love, beautiful people.